Welcome back to the Your Amazing Edge podcast. I'm Zev Halpern here in beautiful Washington, D.C.
And I am Sarah Polyakov, all the way over on the West Coast, and we broadcast coast to coast, nationwide, and worldwide. So tune in wherever you are and welcome. Thank you for tuning in today, wherever you are in the world.
Thanks, Sarah. The good part of Washington, D.C. today and yesterday is spring has sprung. Oh my God, the flowers are out. It's 70, above 70 degrees. I love this time of year. It is the most beautiful time to be in Washington, D.C., even with all, it supersedes all the politics, anything that's going on here. It just happens to be a beautiful time. And flowers abound, azaleas are blooming everywhere. It's just that nice time. I guess if you have a pollen allergy, you're in a little trouble. I mean, I think you're in a little trouble here.
So I am the gardener with a pollen allergy.
That's
That is real. And I've got my beautiful purple lilacs and my white lilacs and all my tulips and bluebells and hy-
beautiful stuff.
they're
I
all
know my hyacinths are coming out. I have beautiful irises. I'm gonna take a picture and put it on LinkedIn tomorrow because they're beautiful this year. They are
uh,
just
mine
beautiful.
bloom later in the summer. I love irises. You have the traditional purple ones, like in the
I
morning.
don't actually I have different. I have two specialty
What
ones
are
that are really nice. One of them is like just a really blue with a yellow pop in the middle.
they?
They're a little more special than the usual. And
Mm,
then then black ones, which are
oh,
really cool. Black irises. They're just deep and very pretty.
wow.
But anyway, now that we've told everybody here on Your Amazing Edge podcast about flowers and spring, which it has a great deal to do with mood, and I guess we will approach that on Spicy Fridays about getting in the mood. Although I'll give you a little advance. This Friday we're going to be talking about your cheating heart, and how and all the ways that people think people are cheating, or they are,
Yeah,
and what infidelity. Trying to look at it in a straight up, truthful kind of way and define where we are with that. But today we're talking about diversity. I'm sorry, my mistake. Adversity.
adversity.
Yeah, that's a huge issue. I guess maybe I hear so much diversity, diversity, diversity. What can I tell you? Got me. Adversity. We all have it. Life's filled with ups and downs. It knocks us off our track. Sometimes we feel very lost. I know I have. Um, it. Some of you out there have faced huge adversity and traumatic experiences, as I have, and without warning, bam! We don't know what's
Adversity.
around the corner. We find ourselves in the deep, dark hole of adversity, which
And
is
yet, we have our friend Zig Ziglar who says adversity is preparation for greatness.
is really a very short, sweet, and straight up true statement because the adversity we go through prepares us for what we have to deal with, and there's a lot. Life isn't an easy climb for most people. It's extremely difficult. We're not going to talk about it too much. They're not going to let everybody know, but life can be challenging, and we never know when things are going so well, and all of a sudden, adversity, tragedy, darkness, unexpected twists and turns. It
Exactly.
all us. And basically, the truth is they shape who it is we are going to become because they either push us back and we hide our heads in the sand,
Or
or it
push the
pushes the other thing and basically we push back against it. And
yeah.
when we push back against adversity, that's where really amazing things happen for people. Sarah and I, we've told you numerous times, we wrote a book. It's based on this. that adversity, Discover Your Amazing Edge on Amazon. Um,
Ooh.
Basically, that adversity is the beginnings of your own unique superpower. The issue is, how do you find it with all the murky stuff, obstacles that's in the way? You got to reach deep to find this power source that adversity really is. Um, but it really can reveal what our unique superpower really is.
You know when Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz clicks her shoes and says, "There's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home." Okay, I'm not trying to imitate her, but so she does that. And that home, that phrase that she says is actually a lot deeper than we think, because when the adversity comes, the answer is within, home within ourselves.
Because that's where home really is.
Yep.
Home lives inside of us, and it's home is our experiences. And adversity is a lot of things, but the truth is, it's what we do with it that matters. Somebody throws you the hot potato of adversity. What are you going to do with it? You're going to let it just bombard you and take you down and throw you off the path, or are you going to face it, confront it, look at the challenges as they are, and get the benefit of going through those experiences? Those are the things that strengthen us. Those are the things that make us strong, just as crappy as they are. And, many people have spent many, a day, night, weekend, months in despair over unexpected challenges that they never in their life thought they would be dealing with. That's why we wrote a book. Zev and Sarah had those kinds of challenges, and we found each other on LinkedIn
Yep.
through one of those challenges when I lost a daughter to fentanyl.
Yes, very serious.
And it changes your life, but it also changes the trajectory of your life, and it puts you in a choice situation. And the choice is really bury your head in the sand and drown in your pity puddle, or figure out beyond the why does it have to happen to me. You have to get behind. You have to get over that rainbow, because that is a very dark rainbow. And if you can get over it, and you can find your way to climb past it, there's a whole amazing life for you. And I know I didn't finish living, when these things happened to me. I have a lot of things I want to accomplish. And when they happened, those things just don't disappear. You have to deal with them. We grieve, we mourn, but some people get just so stuck. And for the people who are stuck out there, I want to throw you some hope. It's possible to pull yourself out, and you might even have the power on board your body, your mind inside your body, to figure out how to get through it. Not somebody else necessarily throwing you a lasso, even though that might be a good thing, to reach out for a hand that's given to you, or to grab a rung if the rung wasn't there, to make it an imaginary type of rung.
And sometimes you can also lean on friends. I mean, I had a friend one time where I was going through the lowest point of my life when I was about 29. I can point to that as one of the lowest periods of my entire life. And I just crawled in bed and took time off work and just stayed in a fetal position. And I had a friend who, she said, "You're not doing this." And she came over to my house and she said, "We're putting on some dance clothes and we are going dancing tonight." Because she knows that I liked dancing and music. And so she would just pull me right out of bed. We would put on our dance clothes and we would go dancing and just have,
Even though you didn't feel much like dancing, even
yeah.
though you didn't feel it, but you had somebody who was reaching out.
And that was huge. She just wouldn't let me stay home. And if I was in a, if I didn't feel like it, she would find ways to make me laugh despite the situation. and we would end up having a fun night out together. So if you're lucky enough to have a friend like that, take their hand.
Because there are a lot of you out there who are keeping some pretty dark, traumatic events to yourself. You haven't told anybody. You even might not have even told the person that you live with because it's shameful to you or embarrassing. But at some point, we have to trust somebody. We have to find somebody, and there are people available who are the real deal. And some of them are friends, some of them are helpers, some of them are healers, coaches, therapists. There's all different kinds. Some of them are the real thing. You have to kind of feel the chemistry of it, but also feel the hand that's being given to you and decide that you don't want to be in a fetal position. And I'm sure there's people right now who are in a fetal position in their room. I always hear, about them, and there's
Right.
probably many because, right now this is a very chaotic transitional time for a lot of people,
Very-
as far as work, as far as employment, as far as a lot of things. The world's changing at a pretty fast clip, beyond artificial intelligence. It is going at the speed of artificial
It
intelligence.
is. It's going faster than the human brain has actually evolved to handle. So,
Absolutely. And so there are a lot of people who are reaching in the dark. They're trying they're reaching in the dark and they're not able to find the ladder, the rung, whatever it is. And somebody got to turn the lights on sometimes. We hope in your life that you have somebody who knows how to turn a light switch on for somebody, that they have the empathy, the caring, and that kind of thing to reach out and help a person because there are a lot of people who are ignored, feeling very lonely, and you don't have to be that way. Even the worst things have happened to you. Sometimes people who have had the worst things have happened to them have succeeded in amazing ways. And that's because they found the groove. They found their 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 way across that dark um, divide. Call it what you think of it. Visualize, that when these kinds of things happen, it creates a dark divide. You got to figure you're going to jump, you're going to leap. I say leap.
I say leap.
Sometimes we have to leap into our bravery and courage.
Right.
But Zev, I don't have any bravery and courage. Matter of fact, I wasn't brought up to have any courage at all. I have about as much confidence in myself, and I hear those kinds of things. There's a lot of people who feel that way. Trust me, you all have courage, you have bravery, you have to get in touch with it. And you can. It's possible. It exists for all of us. It's a human trait.
It is a human trait, and it's linked, I believe it's linked to our hardwired survival mechanisms that we have in place, whether we think we know we have them or not. But that ability to run from the 10-foot cave lion is still in our DNA. And so if we reach deeply enough, it is there. We just have to find the way to ignite it.
Yeah, you see that line. It's time to go. It's
Time
time
to
to,
go.
it's time
Yeah.
to run. And all of a sudden, woo, out. Get those feet going, move, get out of there. That's a natural thing that happens with a lot of people. Although some people do get like a deer stuck in the headlights. That is another possible alternative that happens. And it's not so much fun to be a deer caught in the
No.
headlights, somebody screaming at you, somebody treating you crappy, and you just don't even know what to do. You're being abused, you're being, it's wrongful. Whatever's happening to you is wrongful. You didn't bring it on, you didn't ask for it, but it's still happening. And what do you do? You know,
Yeah. And Zev, what do you think? I know we've kind of touched upon this before, but what do you think drives those people that like to abuse others? Because I have an interesting answer somebody gave me on this the other day.
hey, bullies, they're bullies. There are people who feel so crappy about, I mean, they're pretty insecure. And if they can find a mark, a lot of times, they treat the mark basically in kind of the way that they feel. And it makes them feel better to have somebody to step on, somebody to take advantage of, somebody to treat, in a shitty way. Um, and for somehow, in some part of our human, the way we are, it
Yeah.
makes some people feel better when they're stepping on somebody's head. I guess they feel better than the person who's getting their head stepped on. I mean, it's
Right.
terrible, it's awful, but it happens all the time at
And
work, at
right.
home, in schoolyards, in children at play. It's across the board. It's
There,
a,
right. There are some people who won't stop. And I happen to know a psychiatrist because he bought one of my art pieces and he has it hanging in his office. And so I asked him one time, what is it with these people who are angry and bully people all the time? What do they get out of this? And he literally said, I believe some people are addicted to anger.
hmm.
Light bulb switch. He believes it's a type of addiction that produces the same kind of dopamine that usually a hug would produce.
And if you were raised that way, if people yelled at you when you were young, or you watched and witnessed your family, screaming at each other, not just screaming, but even going further past the screaming, into hitting or whatever. Well, I mean that becomes part of your repertoire, and you didn't buy it. It's part of you. You saw it. We imitate. Humans imitate. It is the thing of studies, and a lot of times we imitate things that aren't good for us. We know it sometimes, and sometimes we are not aware of it at all. We think it is the absolute natural way that it's supposed to be. But how do we get out of this? How do we find the access to this power source, to this um, the source that adversity um, gives us? Um, what word am I looking for? The superpower. How
Yeah.
do we access the superpower? I don't have any superpowers, Zev. I don't have any. I have nothing. I'm just life is crappy. Leave me alone. I think you have a superpower based on that. Somewhere in there, in that despair, there is experience, and that experience of going through it, you have a choice of what to do with it. And you possess personal and amazing, unique edge, and it can allow you to make life changing contributions to you, the ones you love, and the world. Life isn't fair. I mean, is it fair, Sarah? Have you
No, I
experienced life as being
never fair.
fair? Did somebody tell you that like things were fair? They might have in nursery rhymes, or things
Yeah.
like that. But even in nursery rhymes, we learn things aren't very fair because somebody always gets the wrong end.
But
That's
I want
fair.
I want a fair world, but maybe that's me just wishing for a utopia. I don't know if that's possible or not. But if you were raised in a household where you've been abused, I'm going to bring it back to this point of abuse. You survived something huge. So you have to recognize that you survived something huge. If you are still standing, like Elton John says, I'm still standing. If you are still standing after all that abuse, you are an incredibly strong person. That's the first thing to recognize.
And you're set up in a lot of ways to to harness that pain that you experienced and turn it into power, transforming it into something meaningful. Basically, we turn into purpose, pain into purpose. We can adopt what's called a limitless mindset. Limitless mindset is allows us to claw and fight our way, through obstacles and challenges, and we can turn it into raw power. We just need to direct ourselves forward with this purpose and headed to a better version than we are right now. Obviously, this takes, we need to be inspired. Sometimes we can't just inspire ourselves. Sometimes it takes somebody else, a friend, a hand, whoever it may be. Look for inspiration. Inspiration is an amazing gift because with inspiration, we can pass tests, we can overcome challenges because we live an inspired life. An inspired life means that we are going to find the purpose and we're going to find our own purpose and we're going to go along a path that allows us to accomplish that purpose. You know, we're
And there's,
challenged.
right. Then there's being blindsided in life. Something happens that you could never foresee. And Zev, you mentioned your daughter at the beginning, but you also had another experience in life where you were completely blindsided and had to act.
It's true.
Whether
So I'm sitting on a plane in, Atlanta, Georgia, on my way to Florida for a business trip, and the plane was 2 hours late anyway. There's so many side stories to the story. There are funny parts and there are tragic parts. But basically, as the plane finally taxied down the runway, it blew up, just blew up right in the middle of the runway, and everybody had to get out. You couldn't see in front of you, you couldn't see behind you. There was no air, there was only burning plastic.
ugh,
It was a very scary thing. You could see the door opening. We all take for granted that stewardess when they tell us how to get out of the plane, that the sliding board is going to go down. Man, I forgot about the sliding board, that it was a sliding board. And when it got to be my turn, I had no air left whatsoever. Literally, I jumped. I jumped and bounced down this thing. Bam, 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 bam. Ended up on the runway like this,
on that tarmac. Yep.
looking straight up next to a
Oh,
woman who's holding her cross going, praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord, praise the Lord, right next to
praise
me.
the
People,
Lord indeed.
people were in shock as they watched this plane burn, really burn. I mean, that was traumatic enough. But there's so many side stories to this. There's the whole issue of I saw two people begging to get on the plane because they wanted to get on go to a party in Florida, and like about an hour later, I'm sitting on the back of a pickup truck on the tarmac on the way to the firehouse, and I look at them and say, how's that party looking, you know, in Florida, and they laughed at me. They laughed. We were all at that point, and as they took us to call our families, which
Oh,
we did, they took us inside to these call banks that they have. And again, they're just funny stories all along the way.
you
After,
you did the unexpected. You didn't let that get to you. What did you do next?
I mean, basically, I called. You mean in terms of calling? Um, you know,
After you made the phone call to your wife, what did you do next? Did
I
you
actually went to Florida. I mean, you were given an alternative: go to a hotel, go to the hospital, go to Florida, and I just kept going, and ended up on a plane with a bunch of drunk people because the other people were drinking. They offered free drinks on this flight, and people took advantage of them. And
so
it was
you
a really amazing story, which in the end, I ended up seeing it when I get to the room. Finally, I see people on TV who was sitting with, who I know had at least, 9 drinks. And, he's going, how was it? Because they had asked me when I got off the plane, they said, were you on flight? Da, da? I said, I was. How was it? It was dark, scary. Good night. And that's what I said to them. These other
exactly
people,
good
these
night.
other people are like, it was terrible. It was this. I mean, there was some comic relief. I guess the most comic relief of the whole thing is that a guy moseys up to us to the section where they had us kind of roped off, and they were giving us, whatever we wanted. And this guy comes, red shirt, big gold chain, grandfather type, and he comes and he says, what's with you guys? What are you so happy about? What's this? He goes, well, I said, well, what are you on the plane for? He said, well, I'm taking part in one of those fear of flying programs. What this guy said to us, I couldn't believe it. He, and then one of them said, well, you're talking to the right people, because we were just on a plane that blew up, and he went like F and A. I mean, he just couldn't stop saying it. He couldn't stop saying it. It was funny. There were funny parts
Nobody
of this.
died, thankfully. That's why we
Right, but people were injured, and believe me, it injures you in the head, and you either have to move ahead, and you have to recognize that your life could have ended, because on the newspaper it did say, I couldn't find it. I looked on I went through the pages, and truth is, it was on the front page, and it was a picture of the plane that I was on, and it said, in quotes, "It's a blessing it hadn't taken off." Right on the front page, and
uh,
and, and that's the truth. My life in some ways kind of took on a different meaning. It has to, because you got saved. I could have been blown up in the air. It happens. I skirted the danger, but it still exists. Every time I get on a plane, I think about it. It doesn't stop me. I've learned to get past it pretty fast. Other people, I'm sure, know, but basically, you can sit and figure out why me, and let it scare the hell out of you, or you can move forward. We're challenged, but I was challenged by a unique experience, and it absolutely strengthened me. It also made me think about what's near and dear, and I think what's important in life, because your life goes in front of you, because there was a moment for everybody on there where we weren't sure we were getting out of that burning thing, whatever it was. I mean, it was an old plane and it was burning.
I
So
can imagine.
whatever trauma you faced, you still have a lot to accomplish in your life. Life is topsy turvy, and it's messy. This thing we call living can be very messy. Sarah and I clean up a lot of messes for people. We serve people in helping to straighten that perspective out, because a lot of people have a very distorted perspective, and they're living through those colored sunglasses, and it's tainted negative, horribly negative, and every step they make and every move they make is a negative, step. And we can
Right.
turn that around. We can turn it around. Sarah and I turned it around. And another time we'll talk about Sarah's
Yeah.
um, um, adversity. But what are you going to do, with the cards you've been dealt with? I think we all need to ask that. We all been dealt a certain bunch of cards. Some of us are brainiacs. Some of us have amazing people skills. Some of us have street skills. We're street savvy. Some of us are brought up to not have a clue. How unfortunate is that you have to learn all these things? So hurtful, because you're so unprepared, or people built you up, and gave you trophies for things you didn't deserve, and you think you deserve things, and then you go into the real world, and the real world slaps you around a bit, and all of a sudden you realize, guess what? I wasn't prepared. It's a disservice in a lot of ways to reward people. It's the culture of self-esteem. It was a certain way that we taught children and things like that. I'm not big on it, because I think it takes away experience, negative experience. Adversity, challenges build character. Whether we're in despair, in a fetal position, we can take it from right there, and we can move miles and miles and miles away from that. You have the power to build positive energy, especially in times of personal challenges and darkness. And a lot of people out there know it's never too late, and you're never too far gone. Depressed, you're never too old to find a new path or heed a new calling. And I think it's important. This is just the life we live on the planet. This is how life goes. It looks like some people are skirting pretty easy. They look like they're skating and all that. Maybe some of them are. Maybe some have been, brought up with a silver spoon. But sometimes the people who you look at as skating, they've been through hell on earth, and they've managed to, grab the rungs, keep themselves above water, tread water. They refuse to drown in their own little pity puddle. So let me leave you, today, just if I can, with just a transformational mindset that I try to think about the adversity and challenges I've encountered and continue to have readied me and strengthened me for my journey to personal and professional success. Again, the adversity and challenges I've encountered and continue to face have readied me and strengthened me for my journey to personal and professional success. That's something that I try to keep in front of me. And, it isn't all easy. There's challenges, beyond planes and beyond loss. There's little tiny challenges. There's working things out. There's
And really take in what Zev just said, because your mind believes whatever you tell it, for real. So if you tell it what Zev just told you, you will start believing it, and you're going to see that inner transformation happen.
or obviously the absolute negative of that is don't believe everything you think, because if you're thinking it while you're distorted because you're looking through despair colored glasses, you're only going to see a very negative world. It's easy to see a negative world. We tend to look at the world in a negative kind of way. I don't know why we do that. It's lighted that way. It doesn't have to be that way. It's those moments of clarity. It's those moments of when we get in touch with any kind of power that we have, whether it be super, hyper, whatever it may be. Um, Power exists for all of us, inside all of us. A lot of us just don't have access to it. We lost access to it long ago, or some perpetrator, who perpetrated some trauma on us took it away from us. We can't let them win. We
Take
can't
it,
let them
take it back.
take your power back. You take your power back by living the best possible life you possibly can. That's how you plant a flag, on the planet adversity. That's when you can plant your personal success flag on that planet, when you take it and run with it. So anyway, we're out of time today. Anything to add, Sarah? You want to?
I just wanted to thank everybody for watching, and be on the lookout for all of the programs that we have coming up. We have two tracks. We have the relationship track and our personal development track. We have Leap Forward coming up, and we have Pure Success coming up. So we have lots of opportunities for you to grow, and we sincerely hope that you will join us.
And it can be one-on-one group coaching, or we have something called VIP intensive, which is Velocity VIP, and it's about your convenience and getting things done finally. A lot of people just go, "I'm going to get it done. I'm going to get it done." Well, that program allows you to get it done in a shorter time with a more intensive approach to it. This podcast is available on YouTube. It's available on many podcast platforms, including iHeartRadio, Apple, Amazon, and some other ones. So spring is here, at least here in the Washington, D.C. East Coast area. Everybody's all enjoying and being out and in that spring kind of mood. So I hope you get put in that kind of mood. And we'll be back this Friday, actually for a season ending Spicy Friday, because we're going to end season one with the Spicy Friday edition this Friday, and it will be about infidelity, and as they say in the country music, you're cheating hard, so uh,
Yep.
and all aspects of it. So I hope you tune in. a lot to learn. Have a great week, and we'll see you Friday or any other time you tune in.
And always reach out to us in the DMs. We love to hear from you.
Have a great day and have a great week. See you then.